Hello everyone, welcome back to Teaching Tuesdays. For today's topic, we'll be covering consent, ages of consent according to the Criminal Code of Canada, and sexual bullying. So consent is a topic that a lot of our community members are not fully aware of, and not everyone has the accurate knowledge. And it's also a topic of current interest, especially in the media with the Me Too movement. There are misconceptions commonly believed that seeking consent ruins the mood or is not sexy at all. And coming from a caregiver's perspective, learning about sexual activity or any sexual education at all leads to engaging sexual behaviors earlier. In fact, sexual education can lead for a later start for sexual experiences and an increase in responsible sexual choices. So according to Canadian law, consent should be both positive, so saying yes, initiating or enjoying the sexual activity, and ongoing, so it continues during the sexual activity. Being informed about consent and engaging in consensual, healthy sexual experiences must include not only abiding by the age of consent laws, but also building awareness of your personal values, effective communication skills, and sexual health. When practicing all these together, healthy sexual experiences and exploration can occur that are safe, enjoyable, and thoughtful. Here are the consent laws and the Criminal Code of Canada. The age of consent in Canada is 16 years old. This means that a 16-year-old person may consent to a sexual activity with anyone who is their age or older, with some exceptions listed below. This was amended in 2008. Prior to, the age of consent was 14 years old. Children under age 12 cannot consent to sexual activity. Children who are aged 12 and 13 may consent to sexual activity with someone no more than 2 years older, less a day. 14 and 15-year-olds may consent to sexual activity with someone no more than 5 years older, less a day. A child or youth cannot consent to sexual activity with someone who is in a position of trust or authority over them. This applies for youth under the age of 18. Individuals of authority can be teachers, bosses, or coaches, etc. Consent is not given by the child or youth if it has been obtained through the use of force, threats, lies, or misleading information about the intent of the activity. Consent is not given if an individual is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Children and adults with physical or mental disabilities cannot consent to sexual activity with someone in a position of trust or authority over them. The term sexual bullying is an early form of sexual harassment describing unhealthy teasing patterns that takes place as young adolescents begin to experience romantic and/or sexual feelings. Transitioning from elementary into high school comes with its own worries and stressors. And a concern is the fact that bullying behaviors do begin in those elementary years and can be attributed to abused power and aggressive tendencies that may carry into dating relationships. When sexual bullying behaviors are explored, the connection to sexual violence, unwanted sexual contact, and the very important need to educate about consensual activities becomes clear, even if our children and youth are not engaging in sexual activity yet. Here are a few examples of sexual bullying behaviors. Sexual comments, leering looks, and sexual jokes, being shown sexual doodles, pictures, or photographs, sexual messages, graffiti written in school bathrooms, name-calling towards gender and sexual connotations, being flashed or mooned, being touched, grabbed, rubbed against, or pinched, being trapped or concerned and subjected to sexual advances, having your clothing altered in a sexual way, being the subject of sexual rumors, and being forced to do something sexual. Should a youth exhibit one or more of the sexual bullying behaviors, it does not mean they are headed towards offending behaviors or unhealthy relationships. However, it is necessary to address the situation and provide some context and learning. Teaching consent to children and youth is more than just stating the importance of asking permission or engaging in sober sexual activity. Teaching consent is about instilling foundation of healthy relationships for your kiddo's future. It is creating a space to explore this topic that is often considered a gray area and holds plenty of room for misunderstanding. Whether a youth has demonstrated one of the sexual bullying behaviors or not, we can encourage them to practice skills of being a good companion such as compromise, honesty, tact, and reliability.